it's Yay for Yarn, and today I'm reviewing the new Furls Wander acrylic yarn. So Wander is a brand new acrylic yarn line from Furls Crochet. This yarn is number 4 worsted weight, and they sent me some skeins to try out and play with, and I'm currently working on a pattern here, a project with this yarn. So I thought I would kind of post a review real quick to give you an idea of what I think this yarn is like. So first of all, let's talk about the texture, because to me, the texture of an acrylic yarn is the number one most important thing. Now, this yarn does not have a plasticky feel to it at all. Some acrylic yarns, especially the very cheap ones, do tend to have a little bit of a plasticky feel. This one does not feel plasticky. However, it does have a bit of a sheen to it. But I wouldn't compare it necessarily to Care-On Simply Soft either, because in my opinion, Care-On Simply Soft is so shiny and so smooth and silky that it doesn't really have much structure to it. And so, yes, of course, it's very soft and pliable, but I think it also splits easily, and it's not my first choice. So it's not exactly like that. It's not as silky feeling as Care-On Simply Soft. So this is just my leftover scrap yarn from this colorway right here. And when I feel this yarn, it kind of has more of an airy, soft texture. If you compare that to some other acrylic yarns have more of a fluffy, squishy texture, this is more of a drapey but slightly airy texture to the yarn. It is very soft and smooth. I would say this would be suitable for something next to the skin. If you wanted to make something like that out of this yarn, I think it would be totally fine. But I've decided, after kind of thinking about what I would compare this yarn to, I think the closest thing in texture to this yarn would be Lion Brand Heartland. Now, the Lion Brand Heartland yarn does have like a heathered look to it. This I would consider kind of similar to that, but just a solid colored equivalent. It has a little bit of fluff to it. It does have a nice structure. I don't think it splits very much. I haven't had very many issues with splitting, but it is definitely not the same texture as something like Hobby Lobby I Love This Yarn or Care-On Simply Soft, like I mentioned before. So I think the texture of this yarn is very good. It's just a little bit different than a lot of the other options out there. It does have a little bit of a sheen to it, so that does help kind of define your stitches if you're going for stitch definition. And I think it looks really nice in a crocheted fabric, feels very nice as well, and it is soft and pliable. So next up, let's look at some of the colors. These are the colors that I have here. I did have another skein of this colorway, but I used up most of it already. And you can buy this yarn in palette packs, where there are sets of 5 colors that will match and go well together, or you can get them as individual skeins. So the colors that I have here are Snow, Mist, and Cobblestone. And the Snow colorway is, in my opinion, it's like a creamy yellow toned cream. It's not like a beige toned cream or an ivory. It's more of a yellow tinted cream color. And then the Mist colorway is just straight pure silver. I personally don't think it has any kind of color tint to it. It doesn't look like a blue toned silver to me. Now, this Cobblestone color is, I would call it brown. I would call it kind of a cool toned, dull brown, like a more muted brown. It's definitely not a chocolate brown, and it's not really a charcoal gray either, but it's kind of like a cool toned brown. So what I mean by that is it doesn't have a lot of like red and orange tones to it, but it does have some more kind of bluish purple tints to it. You don't see blue or purple in the yarn, but compared to where your typical chocolate brown would fall, it leans slightly more towards the cool tone, in my opinion. So I do think these colors go very well together, and I have enjoyed working with them so far. As far as quality goes, I do think this is a pretty nice quality yarn for an acrylic yarn. I have had a few knots out of this yarn so far. I've used almost a whole skein of the snow, about a little under half a skein of the cobblestone, and I have only used 1 row worth of the silver. And I have had a few knots from that so far. Those are not the end of the world to me. You know, it's not a huge deal that I would be upset about when there's knots in the yarn. Sometimes that just happens in the manufacturing process. So that's not a huge issue for me. The most important thing to me is the texture. Now let's talk about the price of this yarn. So this yarn is retailing for $5 per skein, and these are 100-gram skeins. And you can get a discount. You can bring the price down per skein the more skeins that you purchase. So do I think this is a pretty reasonable price? Yeah, it is fairly reasonable. I would compare this, like I said, to Lion Brand Heartland yarn. And I think the price of this yarn is okay if you were comparing this against buying Lion Brand Heartland. Is this the most inexpensive, nice quality acrylic yarn you can get? Probably not. But if you are going for this particular type of texture, then I think this is a good option. If you prefer that kind of silky, airy, but not silky flat type of texture to it. So it's soft and smooth, has that slightly silky look, and it doesn't have any kind of itchiness or plasticky feel to it, but it also has that kind of slightly airy texture to it. So if you are particularly looking for a yarn with this type of look and feel and texture, then yes, I would recommend this yarn. It is definitely a good option. I think it will be a great choice for lots of different types of projects. And if you're interested in making this project that I'm working on right now, stay tuned because I will have this pattern coming out very soon. So this pattern will be called the Herringbone Scarf. So keep your eye out for that. The free pattern will be coming soon. But if you want to go ahead and grab some of this Wander acrylic yarn, then you can do so by visiting the link in the description box down below. And you can also grab a palette pack with the curated sets of colors that go together. And don't forget that you can also get a discount by buying more skeins. So if you want to make a larger project out of this yarn, then you will be able to bring the price down the more skeins that you buy. So would I recommend this yarn? Yes, if you are looking for kind of the slightly more luxurious feeling acrylic and you want something that's washable and soft against the skin, this is a good choice for just about any project that you would want to make with an acrylic yarn. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you try this yarn, what you think of it in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, making sure you click the little bell next to the subscribe button to be notified of new videos. Thanks for watching.